I told my family not to bother me, so.
We love to hear it. So we are back. Finally.
We're back, baby!
Even though technically by the time this is released, it will only have been 1 week without content, because I will be releasing the beautiful disaster that was the Mona Lisa stream, so... But Emily is here, and she's going to be hosting with me for a little while, till we get some shit sorted, people are busy, life happens, you know, so... We're back.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I'm glad you are. We love to hear that. So I watched Bo Burnham's new special last night.
Yeah! I got your Snapchat.
Yeah,
Are you okay?
I'm great. I Snapchatted her and my other friend crying after I finished it. And it's so funny because I go on, like, TikTok and I see people talking about it and they're all like, you know, this man, he never said it was a comedy special. He just said it was a Netflix special. And I was like, I played myself there. I played myself.
I need to watch it. I have been putting it off because I've been doing really well mentally, and I'm like, will this send me into a spiral? Maybe. We'll see.
I felt both so attacked and so seen.
Okay,
and
fair.
Like, I think I kind of needed it, you know? That could be a thing we do. That could be a discussion stream we watch and then just talk, like, we just talk about it.
Yeah.
Potential idea. But yeah, and I'm gonna try and get my sister to watch it with me tonight, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, I should full screen this instead of falling into that habit of continually forgetting again. Very cute of me. But
love that for you.
Yeah, any life updates? Because that's, like, that was really my big thing. I watched that last night, and it made me feel things.
I'm on the final season of Schitt's Creek, and I am not ready for it to be over. I'm just so excited, because, like...
I love Schitt's
Creek so much! It has become my new comfort show. But I don't want it to be done, so I'm, like, trying to, like... I've been doing 1 episode a day to just, like, get it in small doses so I don't finish it too quick.
I physically cannot bring myself to watch the final season of The Good Place. Because I'm like, if I don't watch it, it's not over.
It wrecked me, so that might be a good idea.
But, like, I know it'll wreck me in, like, a good way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe that is something I will get to eventually.
That
yeah,
show,
just like, if I don't watch it, it isn't over.
I just loved how they took, like, season 1 was just, like, fun and quirky and, like, oh, what'll happen to these people? And then by the final season, it's like...
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yeah. They're like, let's take this fun show and then make you question everything.
I see that with a lot of, a lot of shows I tend to like are, like, kind of, like, slow-boiling pots. Like, I've talked about this before, but, like, BoJack Horseman. I started watching that, like, haha, the horse is an asshole, and then by the end you're just like...
Oh.
Oh! Yeah, essentially. Great show. Watch all of them if you haven't.
I have not. That'll be next on my list.
Good stuff. But, the first question I've got for today is something that I didn't, like, steal off of the internet or, like, you know, take from, like, other Twitter discourse that I've already seen. This is something that I came up with in my, like, real, actual life. And there's a story behind this. Because it was a really hot day, and I was wearing, like, a spaghetti strap top, and I have to wear a strapless bra with it. And, when I was wearing this top, I, like, looked down, and I was like, wow, for whatever reason, this bra, like... It has never been more obvious which my boobs is bigger. And that got me thinking. This is a question directed for, like, my ladies, my theydies, anybody in the world in possession of a pair of breasts. Do we think that your dominant hand influences which boob is bigger? And I have a theory for this. Because I'm right-handed. And, like... You use your right, like, whatever your dominant hand is, you use it more. So, even in, like, the smallest way, like, you know, like, using your hand, like, you have to use all the muscles that are connected, like, in your arm, shoulder, and, like, kind of pec muscles as well. So, like, because you use your dominant hand more, like, just for, like, little things, it's getting that little bit extra of, like, muscle building, like, in your hand and in all the muscles that are connected. So maybe that gives you, like, the tiniest bit more, like, pectoral muscle definition in whichever side of your body is your dominant hand is, and that, like, makes the one boob bigger because it has a larger muscle underneath it.
Right, okay, so I'm going to partially be like, everything you just said is wrong, and then partially be like, everything you just said is right.
Okay, great.
So, for me personally, I'm right-handed, and my left boob is bigger.
Okay, see, I'm right-handed, and my right boob is bigger.
Yeah, so you asked me this question a couple days ago, so I, like, did my prep work.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm just, like, you know, standing in the mirror, like, looking at myself in the mirror. And I realized that, like, my left boob was bigger, however, my right boob was more, like, perky. Like, she stood up a little bit more. So I'm like, oh, like, yeah, more muscle, like, makes her a little bit more, like, up there.
Wow.
So, like, you're wrong, but you're right.
Points taken. But yeah, I was like, so proud of myself for coming up with that. I was like, man, I have, I have a theory. I am thinking about this. So, yeah. But actually, now that you're saying that, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, like...
So...
Yeah, because, like...
A theory can evolve.
The boob is mostly, like... It's, like, the mammary glands and then just, like, fat tissue, essentially. So, like... Yeah, how would muscle size have any connection? Like, size of muscle have any connection to that? Even if it is, like... Even if one side of your body is, like, has more supporting muscle underneath, because it's, like, whichever side your dominant hand is on.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm wondering, like, maybe I just think that my left one is bigger because she's more, like, a little bit more saggy, but, like, maybe they're just, like,
this is also
maybe
possible.
My right one is actually better, she's just so strong.
She's just very well supported.
Yeah.
Much to think about, honestly.
Yeah, so...
And I've never taken, like...
Let us know.
Any... Yeah, comment below. Let us know. Give us some data to extrapolate from. Because I've never... Like, I've taken, like, high school and college biology, but I never got any deeper into, like, anatomy, like, where you, like, really study, like, muscle and bone and, like, organ and tissue structure. I never really got into that, so maybe I'm just, like, I'm completely wrong, and somebody out there who, like, actually understands, like, the way muscles and joints and bones and tissues work on a very deep level, come tell me that I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it.
It's funny, because, like, you were like, oh, like, I don't know a lot of biology, and I was like, I know a lot of biology, but this is not at all.
But yeah, not that flavor of biology. Yeah, I, as a person, like, I like the kind of, like, science, like, concepts I kind of like. Like, I loved earth science when I was in school, but then, like, taking geology in college, like, I enjoyed it, but it was like, oh, like, math? And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I like just, like, learning, like, cool facts about, like, volcanoes, or, like, these are the different, like, organs in this system. Name them on this chart. Like, I was good at that kind of science.
Mm-hmm. I kind of hate human biology, which is, like, funny to say as a bio major, because I feel like most people who are bio majors are like, oh, pre-med, blah, 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 but yeah. I hate it. I have really been into ecology and, like, studying relationships within, like, organisms in a community and seeing how, like, population growth affects one another and, like, trophic levels. That's been my jam.
Actually, it's funny you mention that, because there's something, like, vaguely related. In the realm of me being insufferably nerdy, I have, started reading the Dune saga. I'm on the second book.
Okay.
But, like, the whole premise, also, like, you know, spoilers if you're planning on reading it before the movie comes out or whatever, but, like, one of the characters, is what they, in the book, call, like, a planetary ecologist, and his thing is that, like, he was trying to make this, like, kind of desert wasteland planet, like, actually, like, you know, comfortably habitable for people. So he was like, oh, like, we start by planting, like, these, like, you know, scraggly cactus-y things that can survive in the desert, and you just, like, and, like, once those, like, kind of take root and start, like, making, like, the sand dunes, like, stay in one place, then you can start planting, like, these, like, you know, more fragile type plants. And it was, like, figuring out ways to change the environment while still, like, using the relationships between things in an environment to shift it. It was it was really, really cool. And, like, I know it's science fiction, but I love the kind of science fiction where, like, I think they call it, like, hard sci-fi, where it's, like, you start with, like, definite, like, actual scientific concepts, and then are like, what would this thing look like in a universe where this happens, or whatever. And I was like, ooh, this is really cool. So, yeah, read the Dune saga.
Favorite books and favorite movies is The Martian.
I haven't actually watched or read it, but I've heard very good things. Please continue.
It's so good. So, like, the premise is they're on, like, the space mission to Mars, and they get there, and, like, while they're there, there's a storm, and one astronaut gets left behind on Mars, and he just, like, has to figure out how to survive. And so, like, there's some, like, very real science of stuff he's doing, and then there's some stuff that you're kind of like, okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah. Like,
and I think it's a good mix.
I distinctly remember the first time I watched, like, Jurassic Park. Like, it's very, very out there, but I distinctly remember the first time I watched it with my sister. We were both kind of, like, when they were talking about, like, the dinosaur DNA thing, about how they, like, filled in the gaps with, like, frog DNA, and, like, you know, they extracted the blood from mosquitoes that have been trapped in amber, and we were just like, I know this is science fiction, and I know this is very much not possible, but I'm also kind of alarmed at the amount of conceptual sense it makes.
Yes.
Like, whether or not you could actually do this, really it feel like I buy it in the universe of this movie.
The thing that did annoy me, and it still annoys me to this day, is that, like, evolutionary wise, dinosaurs and, like, T-Rex and everything are closer to, like, chickens.
Closer to birds.
Like, just take the chicken DNA. It's right there. It's literally right there.
But also, the movie was made in what, like, the 80s?
Yeah, fair.
So, were we at that point in paleontology where we were like, they're actually closer to chickens than a modern lizard? I don't actually know.
It, like, is tricky because at that point, evolution was still, like, a fresh-ish concept where, like, people were like, no, that's not real. And so they had to, like, do all the work of being like, no, like, here's evidence, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
Just for religious people to be like, no.
Well, I mean, you still get that, but, like...
Yeah.
I also have a theory that, Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, is the perfect movie to watch no matter, like, who you're with. Just, like, I have never been with a group of people and watched Jurassic Park. Like, nobody has ever been bored in my... And maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe there are definitely people out there who I'm sure who fucking hate it. But, like, my mom and my sister both really are not, like, action or science fiction or, like, fantasy people. And my dad, like, he, like, you know, he likes, like, Star Trek and stuff, but, like, original series Star Trek, because, like, that was on when he was, like, in college and stuff. And, you know, he's also, like, the... As many white dads is, you know, perpetually studying for a history test on World War II that, you know, they just don't know when it's coming. So, like, all that kind of stuff. But, like, my mom and my sister both love the original Jurassic Park, and so does my dad. I just think it's there has been no point at which I've been in a group of people and been like, let's watch Jurassic Park. And they said no.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's very entertaining to everybody.
One more Jurassic World movie coming out.
Probably.
I think. Because when that comes out, we're doing a tier list.
Oh, hell yeah. I enjoyed watching them. Like, I saw the first 2 new ones in theaters. And again, I enjoyed watching them because I was like, ooh, dinosaurs with, like, the absolutely amazing special effects capabilities that we have now. Like, this is fantastic. But, like, in retrospect, are they really, like, is the actual, like, substance of the movie really that good? No. And also, you know, like, Chris Pratt, worst Chris.
True.
So,
we do not stand.
We do not stand. But also, so, like, yeah. I mean, dinosaurs. Hell yeah. But pretty much everything else about the actual substance of the movie, I'm like, not that great in retrospect.
It's still, like, the funniest thing to me as a concept. Like, I get the first one, they're like, this is something we're gonna do.
We're
like,
gonna
it's
try.
so neat. And, like, I get, yeah. But then just, like,
to do it again.
Let's do it again.
To do it again.
Let's do it again.
And, like, the other sequels make sense. Like, the original trilogy of sequels make sense to me because it's, like, at the end of the first movie, we have this just island of dinosaurs now. Just, like, with no one on it out there. Like, that's definitely something that needs to be handled. But then they're just like, yeah, let's do it again.
Let's do it again. I think it'll work out fine.
Do we not remember what happened the first time?
I mean, to be fair, though, is that not what has been happening in the United States with lockdown? And they're just like, oh, let's just let people do things. Oh, no. Okay, let's let people do things.
Yeah. The more I think about, the more I learn about, like, just capitalism, the more I think about capitalism, yeah, they definitely would do it again. Never mind. It didn't seem realistic to me the first time I watched that movie, but that was in, like, 2018.
Yeah, now you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's literally what would happen.
That's exactly what would happen. I feel I had something else I was going to say, but it just... Oh! Thing I do like about the first of the new Jurassic Park, I like that, Jimmy Buffett has, like, a 3-second cameo as man in Hawaiian shirt holding margaritas.
I'm obsessed.
That is delightful. Oh, speaking of me not remembering things, I distinctly remember last night when I was falling asleep, I thought of something. I don't know what that something was, but I distinctly remember thinking, oh yeah, like, that's not like a question, but that's something that, like, usually stirs up strong emotions. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was. I'd love to. It would have been great podcast material, but it's gone now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have you, like, ever... you wake up and you're like, oh my god, like, I just had the best dream, and, like, as you try to remember it, you just feel it slipping away from your thoughts, and you're like, oh my god.
You're like, no.
You're like, I know it was cool, but now I, like, can't remember a single thing about what happened.
That's the goddamn worst. Yeah, and I don't know, I don't experience that quite as often, because I have, like, it's just weird Zoloft dreams. Those are vivid. Yeah. But I do know the feeling. But hard left turn into the next thing I have planned for today. And it's, is this thing real in the sense of, like, is this genuine, or is this was this a performance? Well-known piece of Harry Potter fanfiction, My Immortal. Is it real?
Oh my god, every day I try to forget that My Immortal exists, and here we are!
Also, you know, just putting it out there once again, fuck J.K. Rowling.
True. Absolutely.
I always feel so weird, like, talking about anything relating to Harry Potter just because of how, like, absolutely horrendous that woman decided to be in public.
Well, but that, honestly, like, is one of my favorite things about fanfiction in general, but just, like, fan communities, is that, like, there's the ability to just kind of be like, you suck, so we got it from here, we're taking over.
We'll handle it from here. I also really loved that, like, when she was, like, when first people were like, hey, I think you might be, like, misinformed about this, like, here's some resources, and then she started doubling down, and, like, almost everyone from all the Harry Potter's, like, actors came out and were just like, no, don't loop me in with this. Also, Daniel Radcliffe would have been famous no matter what. The man is talented. He did not need Harry Potter.
Yeah. I wonder, though, like, this is off on a tangent again, but, like, do you think that he would have pursued acting had they not been like, hey, little 12-year-old boy, you want to be in a movie?
I think so, because I'm pretty sure he had gotten, like, a small part in a movie prior to that with Dame Maggie Smith. So, like, okay. I think he had, no matter, like, it was very small, but I think he had a foothold. So.
I think that he probably, though, would have done more theater acting. Because
I can definitely see that.
Gotten into that now, which we love, but
we do, Stan. But yeah, My Immortal, like, and I've never even, like, sat down and read the whole thing. I just, like, know, like, I've read the important bits. I know about it, but, like, I cannot figure out, like, if this is somebody, like, genuinely, like, this, like, they wrote this, we're like, this is a great story, like, this is fantastic, like, I'm a genius, especially because there's, like, the little, like, asides within, oh, I forgot to turn off my air conditioner, I just realized, because my lights flickered, because I'm using so much power. Hopefully that doesn't destroy the sound quality, but it should probably be fine.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I'm so good at this. The fact that there are, like, author's notes, in the middle of the story, like, I cannot figure out if this is genuine or if this is, like, a perfect piece of satire about the, like, the stories written by just, like, 14-year-old girls who, like, haven't been shamed out of writing their kind of, like, self-indulgent fantasy stories yet.
You were just broadening my horizons, because I always, like, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, like, who wrote this? Maybe bullying is okay.
Also, I love that, like, we have never been able to figure out who wrote it.
No, I think that that's one of life's great mysteries, and I don't actually want to know.
Yeah, no, I never want to know. But, like, is this genuine?
If so, if it is genuine, like, what are you doing? Good for you, I guess, for having the confidence to, like, go forth and do that.
And also, like, it's literally, like, hundreds of thousands of words. Like, if that's something that was genuinely written by, like, a 15-year-old girl that just loved the Harry Potter universe that much, like, again, that's why I love, like, fan fiction, like, as a concept. So great. People literally write novels for free because they love something so much, but, like,
I applaud the commitment. Yes. Like, good for you. You really went for it.
Mm-hmm.
However, like, if it is written, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, that would be brilliant. To have it be, like,
the way that it is.
This is making fun of all of the cringe fanfic where it's literally just like,
I got sold to One Direction.
This girl at Hogwarts, and Harry and Ron are both in love with her. Hee hee hee.
Like, I really do think there's a genuine possibility that this could be one of the greatest pieces of, like, satire
Yeah.
that has ever graced this planet.
You're gonna make me read my Immortal, aren't you?
I haven't even read the whole thing. I just know it through, like, the bits that are continually passed around the internet.
Yes. I have tried many a time. I'm like, you know what? Like, know your meme culture. You gotta do the research, right?
I enjoy the dramatic readings.
And I get through, like, 2 chapters. And I'm like, I can't anymore. I can't.
It's a lot. And also, is it even, like, still on the internet in its entirety anymore? I feel like there was a whole thing about it, like, being taken down and reposted and...
Catch me getting on Google literally right now.
It's so funny. When Maddie and I were doing the podcast with Tim Meredith, he was like, oh, you're... like, he was, like, quoting from some other podcast that he listened to. He was like, oh, and we'll never know, because you're not allowed to Google something on the podcast. And we're both just like, you're what now? And then as soon as we were like, we Google things on here all the time, he's like, I'm fucking Googling it.
Oh god, it's on. Okay, so it is posted on fanfiction.net.
Oh, fanfiction.net. What a website that is.
But the first, like, it said, disclaimer, I did not write this. The infamous worst fanfiction ever posted here, unedited, for your lulz. Rated M for the, then he put his thingy in my you-know-what, and we did it for the first time. Oh, my stand.
Again, the dramatic readings of, like, passages from that fanfiction. Just, like...
Oh, wait.
But wait, what?
Yeah, so, that has, all 44 chapters...
How many words?
Oh, so maybe this isn't all of it, because this is 24,000 words. So what is the... Okay, hold on, and then there's a post. Oh, so that was the last update of My Immortal that I know of.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like bits of it might have gotten lost, like, as the internet has kind of, like, evolved.
Because this was first published in 2011, and it was updated in 2016 of this is the last thing that I know was on there.
Interesting.
But I'm going to force myself to do it, aren't I?
So much to unpack with that. And just the fact that, like, within the author's notes of the fanfiction, like, the thing, like, the little blurbs at the top and the bottom before you get to the actual, like, story, like, she's, like, whoever's writing it is, like, beefing with their friend.
Yeah.
Who's, like, writing it with them, like, there's so much going on.
At the very beginning, because now I'm just looking at it, because, of course.
As you should be.
And at the very beginning of the first chapter, there's an author's note at the beginning this time, and one of the things in the author's notes is MCR rocks. I'm just like, I agree. Thank you for making sure we all know.
It's such a dated piece of content too. Like, just talking about, like, the
Immortal, first of all.
Just talking about, like, the Avril Lavigne, like, hair streaks, like, referencing that, and, like, I know the original username of the person, like, had all the, like, X's and, like, underscores of that, like, scene emo era of the internet.
Yeah.
Such a, like, dated piece of work, but also a timeless work of art, in my opinion.
My Immortal is immortal.
Quick tangent. Favorite fanfiction site?
You're gonna come for me, but obviously it's AO3.
Oh, same. AO3. AO3 is tops. I gotta say, fanfiction.net, if you are in much older fandoms, very useful. Like, on the, like, early, like, message board internet of, like, the 90s when the X-Files was actually airing, there was a massive fanfiction community. There were literally, like, X-Files fanfictions on the internet from, like, 1997. So, like, if you're looking for, like, older fandoms, like, sometimes it's genuinely where you have to go. But other than that, AO3. things like Wattpad and like DeviantArt, they scare, or like LiveJournal, they scare me. Those are scary places that I don't want to go.
Used to be a Wattpad person. However, okay, in my defense, I would just Google like the kind of fanfic I was looking for, and if Wattpad was what came up, that's what I went with.
That's how I found fanfiction. Yeah. Like Googling, because I think I Googled like a show I like started watching and like never finished. I Googled like, does this thing happen between these two characters? Because I wanted to know, and then I got something from like fanfiction.net where somebody had like written this happening, and that's how I discovered fanfiction. Or like how I discovered that fanfiction was a thing, because let's be real, I was writing that shit when I was like 8, and I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I discovered not fanfiction. I discovered Wattpad through friggin' Dan and Phil fanfic.
I was never one of the Dan and Phil girls, but I knew some.
But like, honestly, you know what?
And I've done many, many cringe things in my life, and I am celebrating the death of cringe culture so happily. But I gotta say, I'm very proud to be able to say that I never drew cat whiskers on my face.
Don't come at me like this. Yeah. Which as an aside, that whole thing was, like, one of the, most invasive...
Yeah, like, looking back...
in the entire world. Like, I don't know, I despise, as a whole, the concept of, like, writing fan fiction about real people and, like... shipping real people as a concept and like getting angry when your ship isn't together in real life or whatever. However, a part of me is like a little bit like, we were right, Dan and Phil.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like I don't quite know how I feel about writing fan fiction about real people, because people do it about like fine. I'll expose myself. The Beatles. People write a fair amount of fan fiction regarding the Beatles, and some of it, which I have read, and I don't know, like...
Well, like, half of them are dead now, so, like...
That's a particularly interesting thing to me, because people kind of, like, don't... Like, they kind of leave it alone. Like, it's very separate from, like, the actual people. It's more of, like, the Beatles as, like... Because they had, like, movies that they were in, like A Hard Day's Night and stuff. It's more of, like, the Beatles as characters. And, like, I don't know, people do, like, kind of, like, weird stuff and, like, you know, like, ship John Lennon and Paul McCartney. But it's very separate from the actual living human beings that were in the band. Right. And some of it is kind of interesting to me, like, some of the stuff that I like reading is just like, yeah, here's a story about them being on tour and a thing happens. I'm like, okay. Oh. Like, kind of in the vein of, like, A Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
But I think writing fanfiction about real people, like, really crosses a line when it's, like, actual harassment of, like... Yeah, but, like, actual, like, harassment of, like, real people and just being like, why are you two dating? Or, like... sending like creepy threats to like someone's actual partner because they're not with the person you want them to be with. Like, Jesus Christ.
Or even like tweeting at your famous celebrity and being like, hi, I wrote this extremely graphic sex scene between you and one of your friends.
Yeah.
Read it. Like,
that's gross.
Why?
That's disgusting. Why? That is like literal harassment. Awful.
Yeah. Although I think, like, that might be how you know you've made it.
When people start writing fan fiction about you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, probably, to a degree. Can't say it would be fun to know that that exists, but also... that you're important enough that people are that invested in your life.
Ugh,
or in like the concept of you as a character.
Was famous, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from reading it. Like, if there was a fanfiction that existed about me, I would eat it up.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Really calling myself out here on this episode of the podcast, but that's fine.
You know what? It is what it is. We were cringy, so you don't have to be, dear listeners.
Actually, you know what? Be cringy. Be as cringy. As long as you are not harassing people or doing anything that harms other people, be as cringy as you want. Cringe culture is dead. Do what makes you happy. Have fun. Unapologetically be yourself.
It's not cringe if you're not embarrassed about it.
It is not cringe if you're not embarrassed about it. Own it. Yeah, because I hate cringe culture and just being like, oh, you know, you get to a certain age and you, like, can't have fun anymore. Like, you can't genuinely be excited about anything more. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life just being like, yeah, I like it ironically. No! So.
Using, like, irony is used for, like, things like slang. Like, I used to say, yeet, ironically, and now I can't. Yeah. Like, anytime I throw something, yeet. Like,
yeet. Yeah.
But, like, that's the only time it's allowed, is when, like, you start, like, being like, oh, I'm gonna say it to be stupid, and now you can't stop.
Yeah, I have so many things like that. It's really bad. Like, I start saying any kind of, like, I, like, genuinely say the word groovy now sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'll say it ironically, and then it's like, oh, fuck.
I love that.
Now this is just an actual part of my vocabulary.
I did that with rad.
Yeah, I say rad a lot. I'm here whacking my desk. But, speaking of things that we say, how do you say the acronym for laughing out loud? When you say that in conversation, how do you say it?
I just, like, try to avoid it. I try to avoid saying it out loud. But, like, if somebody sends me a text, I'm reading it in my head, it's LOL.
Oh, I say lol.
Lol?
Yeah.
You say lamau, too, for laughing my ass off?
No. But I don't say it. Whenever I say, LMAO, I always think of the aliens, like, hey, LMAO.
Yeah.
I always think of that. And now that you pointed out, I don't know why I, in my head and both out loud, read lol as a single word. But I read things like WTF and LMAO.
Yeah.
As letters of an like, not an acronym, I mean, I guess it is an acronym.
Sort of, yeah. However, there is a distinct difference in my head, and I can't explain it. Like, I wouldn't be able to give an example of, like, using LOL when it's all lowercase, what I hear in my head, versus, like, when an old person types LOL in all capital letters. Okay, like, no, those are completely different things.
And I physically... No, you're so right. And I don't have a way...
Like, both of them in my head are LOL, but, like, it's so different.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
The human brain is so weird. Like, somebody... Like, there's someone pointed this out, like, on Tumblr or something. But it was, like, when people are writing, we use a question mark to denote, like, an upward vocal inflection, even if the statement, like, isn't a question. And I think it's so interesting the way people, like, we come up with these, like, little grammar rules that just sort of, like, evolve from the way that people, like, interpret text to speech. Cool stuff.
Also, like, speaking of that, shout out to Spanish, because in Spanish, like, you know it's a question right at the beginning with the upside down question mark, and I just think that English should adopt that. Like, have you ever been reading something and then, like, you get to the end and you're like, oh, that was a question, let me read it again?
Actually, yeah, you make some points. You make some pretty solid points.
I want to know that I'm reading it in my head correctly from the get-go. Give me that question mark.
Oh, so you have an internal monologue?
Oh yeah, that bitch never shuts up.
Okay, cool. Because I know. Oh, this was like shocking to me to find out, but some people don't.
Yeah.
Which is like whack.
I also just found out, semi-recently, that some people, okay, based off of this meme, there's this meme that was like, if you're sad, you can just rotate a cow in your head for free and no one can stop you.
I know what you're talking about.
Sometimes I just think about that and I rotate a little cow in my head, but then it like led into all of this discourse because some people like, if I said picture a cow in your head and rotate it, like some people's brains aren't able to like,
yeah, some people can't, and they like
picture a cow,
and they like don't realize until someone like, and they're like completely able to just like go about their lives, but they don't realize it until somebody points it out. It's like how sometimes people like don't realize that they're colorblind until they put on like the corrective glasses or whatever. Like they just think that like,
oh,
I think it's like red-green colorblind or something. Like they just think that like whatever they're perceiving as red, they're just like, oh yeah, that's just red. But then they like put on the glasses, and they're like, oh no, shit.
Yeah,
it's not. Whack. You can't rotate. Some people can't rotate. Now I'm trying to like, I'm seeing if I can do it.
like those poor people.
And I'm pretty sure I can.
I love rotating a cow in my head.
There he goes.
Well, now he's going the other way.
That's so interesting. Wow. Sometimes
anyway,
the internet is awful. Other times it's wonderful.
That's been my new trick lately for when I've been sad. I just rotate a cow in my head for a little bit and it always makes me laugh.
I'll have to start trying that. I never thought of it as a solution, but maybe it is. There he goes. Oh, maturity. Yeah. Two grown adults. The last thing I have listed for today, what would be, like, what do you want to see as a Muppet movie? Because people were like, there was discourse about this when The Great Gatsby entered the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, where is it, you know?
Not to be controversial, but the first thing that popped into my head was the Saw series.
That'd be kind of funny.
Like, everything exactly the same, too. Like,
but it's just Kermit.
Yeah.
The Jigsaw doll is just replaced by Kermit.
Yeah. And I, like, have been low-key obsessed with the Saw series lately, so, like, I could do a perfect casting. It would be amazing.
Watch the Saw series, and I'm really only interested in watching the first one, because I respect that the first one was like, hey, we're a bunch of broke college kids making a film, and we can't afford a bunch of sets or an ensemble cast, so this is how we're gonna work around it. Like, I really respect that. As for the rest of it, I'm not particularly interested, because it feels kind of torture porny.
It is. However, like, do you know at all what happens in the first one? Like, do you know
you're in a box. It's like, oh, do this thing and you die. So, you need to watch the first one solely for the fact that by the time it was done, my jaw was on the floor, and I was just like, holy shit. Yeah, again, I am very interested in watching the first one because I have, like, it's genuinely important, like, piece of, like, the history of, like, horror as a genre.
Yes.
It's the rest of them where I kind of lose interest.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, like, the fact that, like, they managed to do it where the vast majority of the scene, like, of the scenes of the movie are just two men chilling in a bathroom.
Like, yeah, like, that's...
And it's still, like, I was never bored. It captivated my attention. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Who, as a person, like, I would love to do film, like, or any kind of, like, content creation, like, career-wise, like, That's really fucking impressive. Like, that they could just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, we have one room, and we're gonna make a whole movie.
Yeah. And so then, like, the other movies do it to, like, a lesser extent.
Yeah.
But still, like, every movie I get excited about. But yeah, also, it is a little torture porny, but I kind of want to see the Muppets pull that off.
Yeah, okay.
I think they could do it.
I saw, maybe I'll try and find this and link it. I saw somebody on Twitter say that they want Muppet Rocky Horror, and Brad and Janet are the only humans.
Absolutely.
I need it.
Also, within that, any Muppet movie, like, make a movie, have it be Muppets, and then just insert Kanye West somewhere.
Go on.
And just so it's just, you know, like, all the Muppets are there, but nobody tells Kanye West going into it that he's going to be the only human actor. Like, nobody's like, hey, dude, just so you know, it's a Muppet movie, but then, like, you're the only human. Like, they just throw him on set.
So is
And then
Kanye
all of a sudden there's
unscripted?
Muppet. Yes and no. So, like, he has a part, but, like, they're just trying to see him try to act and, like, exist with these Muppets. Because, like, he needs a part to be put into it, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of Muppet movies, I gotta say, the Muppet Christmas Carol, Sir Michael Caine acting his ass off as though he is not surrounded by Muppets.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Love
that's
it.
why I think he's the only one who could pull it off, and Kanye West absolutely could not. So I want to see that.
That would be pretty entertaining, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I'm also just trying to think of, like, other, like, even things that aren't, like, public domain at this point, like The Great Gatsby. Like, what other things I would just like to see as a Muppet movie? Because I'm sure there's plenty. Like, I'm looking at my shelf of movies. Give me Muppet War and Peace.
Yes.
I want that. I would love to see them,
like,
because, like, you know how sometimes they, like, put, like, a little, like, Muppet twist on, like, the names of the characters? Try doing that with, like, Pyotr Ilyich Bezukov. Good luck.
They've managed. They're the Muppets.
I know,
They can do
and
anything.
they would, and I'd love to see what they come up with.
I think that it would be amazing to see them in, like, hard-hitting movies. Like, give me Fast and the Furious, but it's Muppets.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. What other serious movies would be good? I'm realizing now that I don't have a ton of serious movies on my shelf.
Or just, like, I don't even know. What? Like,
I mean, the possibilities really are endless.
yeah, you could do anything. And they would just be able to pull it off. Miss Piggy can do anything, first of all.
Love her. Also, tangent. Why did the, like, original Muppet show ever end?
I don't know, but I'm angry about it.
Like, that's not a format that, like, it's a variety sketch show with a celebrity guest. That's not a format that ever, like, runs out of material.
No.
Why has it not just been going since, like, the 70s? Because I've watched the original Muppet show, like, both as a kid and, like, currently. It's delightful. Why did we end this?
Right. I just want to see the Muppets more.
Yeah, more Muppet content. Thank you.
Yeah. They're underutilized. They deserve better.
I agree. They really do. Now I'm just thinking about all the episodes of The Muppet Show I want to go back and rewatch.
John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch, except it's Muppets.
Is John Mulaney
still
the
John
human?
Mulaney? Yeah.
Or just any situation where John Mulaney is surrounded by Muppets.
I just imagine that he would be incredibly unfazed by it.
He really would be.
Like, they'd finish the show and, like, the director would be like, wow, you did so good with the Muppets. And he'd be like, what Muppets?
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. I also think that...
He just vibes.
That if John Mulaney and Bo Burnham were ever to collaborate, it would like vaporize everybody in a certain radius.
Yeah. I would never recover.
Yeah, no. I simply would not. But I still want it.
That would be it for me.
I still want it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think we would just have to stop comedy after that. Like, it'd be over.
Yeah. You'd be like, alright, well...
we had a good run.
That's the funniest thing I will have ever seen, so I guess I'm never watching another comedy.
Yeah. Give me that someday, please.
No, oh my god, no, I'm thinking about Knives Out, but with the Muppets.
Don't spoil it for me, I haven't actually seen it, but that sounds like a brilliant idea. I know. There's so many things I need to watch. But based on just, like, the reviews, that sounds brilliant.
Knives Out, just truly, like, already a star-studded cast, but the Muppets are bigger stars.
Correct. Give me any Muppet, like, Agatha Christie story, like, And Then There Were None or something, or, like, Murder on the Orient Express. Muppet that. That would be delightful to watch. And again, like, you know, you can have the one human, because that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Muppet Agatha Christie stories. Thank you. Especially And Then There Were None or Murder on the Orient Express. That'd be so good. That'd be so entertaining.
Yeah. I would love it.
I have decided that I need it, and if it doesn't happen in the next couple of years, I think I might have to take matters into my own hands. Might have to break into Hollywood just for that.
How does one go about, like, casting the Muppets? Like, who is their agent? Who's in charge of them?
I feel as though one might have to contact Jim Henson Studios.
Probably.
I mean, that's what makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, like, I just, like, am imagining any time somebody wants to make a movie with the Muppets in it, they have to call, like, each individual Muppet themselves and get them to, like, sign off on it.
So, like, in the actual most recent Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah, like, that's what I want. That's what needs to happen, and I think that it would make for a nice little, like, pre-show, like, you go to the movie theater, and, like,
montage.
as you're coming, like, people are trickling in with their popcorn and whatever, you just see a montage of this person on the phone with Kermit and being like, hey, so I really want you for this movie, and I think it'd be really neat, and, like, rinse and repeat with all the Muppets.
I like that. That sounds fun. I'd like to be the director of that
cute.
sort.
Yeah, I think it would be cute, too, to see, like, then be like, oh, like, do you have anything you want for your trailer? And just see the demands that these Muppets would come up with. Of, like, I need this or I'm not doing your movie.
Oh, whatever thing I just remembered. Whichever band it was that was like, we have to have, like, a bowl of M&Ms in our dressing room with, like, all the brown M&Ms taken out. I think it's, like, AC/DC or Aerosmith or some shit. But they do that so they know that they've actually, like, read through the contract.
Oh, that's smart.
Because, like, I think one time, like, there was some, like, pyrotechnics mishap or something, and somebody, like, almost died because someone hadn't read the contract and, like, set things up properly.
Oh, God.
So I was like, that's, like, kind of genius.
Yeah. I mean, like, it sucks for whoever, like, the one intern that you hand them a bowl of M&Ms and, like, get rid of all the brown ones.
But also, you know, free chocolate.
True, yeah. Because, like, what do you think they do with those? Do you think they just eat them themselves?
Probably. I mean, that's what I would do.
I think if I ever became famous, I would put something in there like that, but then I would be like, I need all the brown ones in a separate bowl so I can still eat them.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a good question. What would my, like, dressing room demands be?
Yeah.
I'm actually, like, thinking about this now.
I would try to come up with something, like, absolutely ridiculous, but still easy. Like, I don't want to make them bend over backwards, but, like, just try to come up with the most ridiculous thing I can, just for fun. Like, what a story for whoever was in charge of
for whoever had to set that up. You know what? We can come back to that. That can be a question for our next episode. There's a little teaser for you. Next episode, you get to find out what we would want in our dressing rooms. If
I already know right now one of my requirements would be that whoever's in my dressing room has to rotate a cow in their head.
Well, you'll have to figure out how you would, like, prove that has happened, but that's something. But you have a week to think about that now.
I did.
Okay, I think on that note, on that fun little teaser for our next episode, I think that's where we end it for today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be real good. And maybe I'll remember that thing that I thought of that wasn't technically a question, but would bring out strong emotions.
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it too, if I ever remember what the hell it was. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Keep a lookout for stream announcements, and we will see you again next week. Bye!
Bye! I'm gonna go read my Immortal.
This week's episode of the Fighting with Friends podcast was hosted by Bridget Kelly and Emily Whitney and produced by Maddie Robbins. You can find other episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or your other favorite listening platform. Follow us on Twitter at BridgetKelly98, at eWit789, and at MR5MAR. Rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. Like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, and join our Discord community using the links in the description. You can also help support us via the Acast supporter feature. Thanks for listening!